this to say to the modern young girl, gentlemen. Be free. Express yourself. Take your life in your own hands and mold it. The world will try to rob you of your freedom, but fight for it. It's all you have to live for. That's all for the modern girl, gentlemen. What else? Ask me anything.
Hi everyone, welcome back to That's All for the Modern Girl. My name is Caitlin and I'm so happy to have you.
Place I can get any rest.
Well, you don't. You told me Thursday you were a half pound overweight.
I'll tell you anything of the kind, Kay. Besides, it was Wednesday. Night. Oh, well,
Sheldon Evans wants you for a small supper party. So does Mrs.
I have long since wanted to make this robe and I bought the fabric for it a year ago, probably on an impulse buy going to Joann Fabrics when I was buying fabric for another project and saw this fabric and knew that it was going to be the fabric I wanted to use to make this robe. However, I didn't actually know how I was going to make it or how much material was going to be used. So I'm pretty sure that I bought around 4 yards and then it just sat in my fabric stash for the last year. While I had the best of intentions to make it last spring/summer. Really? While I had the best of intentions to make it last spring/summer, it didn't happen. And I wanted to make sure that it was at the top of my list for this spring. The first project for the spring of 2022 was creating Can you not, please? Can you not? Shh, shh, shh.
Sleep.
No, good girl. That's a good girl. Okay. The first project, isn't the first project of 2022? Yeah, this is my first project of 2022 and I'm glad to be starting out with it. As I mentioned before, I bought the fabric about a year ago. I didn't actually know how much I was going to use or even what pattern I was going to use to create it. And I didn't use just one pattern. I Frankensteined a pattern, taking pieces from patterns that I already own and fashioning it in a way that I could create the beautiful, or attempt to recreate the beautiful lines that Adrian created in this gorgeous robe in Sweethearts. From the moment that I saw this robe, it embodied old Hollywood in that classic look that I just love. There was something really glamorous and wonderful about the clothes of the 1930s in particular. Escapism from the Great Depression, extremely glamorous lines and beautiful outfits no matter what the occasion. And that includes lounging. Humans have always enjoyed being comfortable, and that's what I really appreciate about the style of the 1930s. There is such a glamorized version of loungewear everywhere in films and in magazines. I think that we can all relate to a little bit of that after the last couple of years spending a lot of time at home. And perhaps because I watched this movie for the first time during the pandemic, my eye was also drawn to this gorgeous robe for that reason. I'd really love to have something like that to also lounge around in and feel comfortable and put together without having much effort to give at all. To get started in my research, I looked for photos covering different angles of the robe, as well as some footage of Jeanette wearing the beautiful robe in the dressing room scene. She is more expressive in her arms and with her hands, and with her body rushing around the dressing room. I was able to get a better feel for the weight of the fabric by watching it move and understanding the line and cut of the robe as well. I wasn't able to find any information on this particular robe that Adrian designed, but just by observing, it's pretty obvious that there is influence and inspiration from the Japanese kimono.
So a bit of background on this iconic designer of old Hollywood. Adrian began working at MGM in 1928, where he gained a prestigious reputation designing for the leading ladies of the studio. His designs caught the eyes of moviegoers everywhere as for the first time, Hollywood and moving pictures began to influence American fashion as much as the designs coming out of Paris. He was the first of a hybrid line of costume designer couturiers to come out of Hollywood. His designs were incredibly influential. I love this quote from Howard Gutner's Gowns by Adrian, the MGM years 1928 to 1941. It says, "It was not uncommon for a patron to find herself seated next to an artist in the balcony with an electrically lighted pencil, hurriedly sketching in the darkness of the auditorium something he had seen on the screen. Weeks later, the sketch would appear in a modiste shop, adapted as a low-priced dress or coat." Adrian's iconic work has been seen across decades by millions of people around the world, whether they're aware of it or not, but that's besides the point. His design set a precedent for future designers, many of whom have found inspiration and awe in his work. He was a perfectionist who sometimes produced as many as 75 drawings in a single day. He designed the costumes for the stars and extras alike, giving the same attention to detail and care to each. I'll leave it with this quote from Adrian. "Few people in an audience watching a great screen production realize the importance of any gown worn by the feminine star," he said in 1937. "They may notice that it is attractive, that they would like to have it copied, that it is becoming, but the fact that it was definitely planned to mirror some definite mood, to be as much a part of the play as the lines of the scenery, seldom occurs to them. But that most assuredly is true." And with that in mind, let's begin.
Nope. Say hi. You want to show how your collar matches my robe? Oh, that was good.
That was a nice profile. How about the other side? Can we see the other side? Yeah. Good girl. Oh my goodness. That was not planned, by the way. Not planned at all. It was her birthday. We got her new collar. Yes, we did.
Oh, fix those eyebrows. All right. Okay, hi. So, I didn't really have a plan when it came to putting this dress. It's not a dress. I didn't really have a plan when it came to putting together this robe. I thought briefly about drafting out some of the pieces, and it may come down to that on the sleeves because I really don't have anything similar to what these sleeves look like. But everything else, I'm going to try to Frankenstein this robe together using pieces from other patterns that I already have. I showed them briefly, but let me explain what each piece is going to be. So this is my first pattern that I actually ever made. And I've used elements of this one before in other things that I've created, mostly the sash. Same thing's gonna happen with this. I'm gonna be using the sash on this dress as the sash for the robe, just extended out a bit. Maybe. Yes? No. I don't know. We'll get there in a moment. This one I have never worked with before, but I believe this is one that one of my mom's friends not tracked down for me, but she was in a thrift store once, or an antique store, and she saw some patterns and got some for me. So this I'm going to be using, or at least take a look at. Don't hold me to any of this because it most likely is going to evolve, but this one I'm using for the neckline. Next up is the bodice. So funny enough, in that mixture of patterns that I received from one of my mom's friends, shout out to you, Marty, one of them, I don't think I realized at the time when I said, yeah, like grab all the 1950s ones, is actually a maternity suit. But it's perfect for this because it is going to not be form-fitting, and I don't want this to be form-fitting. It's a robe. It should be pulled tightly by the sash at the waist, but it should be loose. It should be comfortable. I'm gonna see if I can use the coat on this as the bodice, I guess. What else is great about this one is that it's also a size larger than what I would normally wear. This is something that I'm wearing to get ready in, so it should be loose. I think that this will at least help guide me in how wide the top of the robe should be. That's my hope anyways. And last but not least is this McCall's pattern that I have that is really, well, you can tell it's contemporary. I was looking for something that's gonna have that floor length feel that I want for this robe, and just look at this. There it is. And now to see how all of this will fit on the fabric itself, and then I also have to plan for those longer sleeves, and I think I'm just gonna have to sort of freehand it the whole sleeve length. That's a plan. Now let's get to it. Okay, I have made the modifications to the top jacket piece. I have the top of the robe ready to go almost. I just put in some pins to modify the neckline. Now I just need to check in on the shoulder. It looks like this is where another modification has to happen, and I don't know yet what I'm doing for the sleeves, but it comes down her shoulder to whatever muscle this is. And then it does this splaying open. I think it's gonna be one of these 2 dots. Okay, here is everything laid out from the bottom skirt, the sash, and the bodice, top, front, and back. What still needs to be done down in this space is, oh, what is it? Hold on. Okay. In this space will be the sleeves and neck detail. Hopefully that will fit here because I don't know where else it's gonna go. Here are some of the pieces that have been adapted. It doesn't look like it, but this is the front bodice piece and this is the back bodice piece. Let's come over here. This is the sash. I've folded it in to make it a thinner sash and it just snakes all the way down. So now it's time to cut all of these pieces out and maybe get to some sewing tonight. We'll see. I don't know what I'm gonna do with this little piece.
I left the space at the end available for the sleeves and I used every little bit of it. I measured out what I had left, divided it in half, and cut the 2 sleeves from there. I also had one little problem regarding one of the sleeves where long before I realized I'd be tight on fabric, I cut the swatches for the design book as I always do. I didn't think it would be an issue, it never has before. Well, it was. I had to get creative covering up that missing corner on the sleeves, but it worked out and you can't even tell in the finished look.
Hello. Today is day 2 of putting together the dressing gown or robe or whatever you want to call it. I have made a lot of progress putting everything together and Frankensteining the different pieces to make it work. There are a couple of details that I have not quite figured out and I'll be doing that today. One of them is, I'm not really sure what to call it, but it's not a collar. But it is a sort of detail that is coming down the collar. I need to figure out how much fabric I have to try and put that piece together. The sleeves is another thing that I need to do today. I realized that I didn't really know exactly how to shape them when I was cutting them out. So I ended up playing around. This is my very amateur drawing, trying to figure out how the sleeves are going to be, how they came together, and what was happening where they were attached and what was happening at the bottom. I think I have it. If you can see on my note, it says pleats front and back. That is for the top detail, and it's just going to be folded in at the front of the arm cuff so that the raw edge isn't exposed. And then the detail that has the sleeve is, I don't even know how to explain this. So today is going to be figuring out what to do with the sleeves and also what to do with the front of the top of the dressing gown. I don't normally call it a dressing gown. That's a very British thing to do. At least that's what I've heard in YouTubers that I've watched that are British. They call it dressing gowns sometimes. It's a robe. Whatever's gonna happen at the top of the robe. And I have to figure that part out because I left it, well, okay, let's rewind. I needed to figure out how much material I could allow for the sleeves because the sleeves are the most iconic part of this robe. So I wanted to make sure I could give as much fabric as I could to the drama of the sleeves. That being said, I am cutting it close on fabric and I need to figure out the detail of this neckline and what I have left and how to make that compute. And I really don't know what's gonna happen. So let's get to it and figure this out. Before I jump into any more filming, I just wanted to give a summary of where I left things off from yesterday. So here's the back of the skirt piece and it has been attached with each of the side skirt pieces there and there. This is the added piece that it's just a detail for the right front closing, and that's the piece that I need to figure out for the top of the robe. So you can see it's missing right now from this, and that's what I need to
son of a bitch.
That's also what I need to do. Yeah, that's also what I need to do. And then attach that. It'll go all the way up the neck and then down the front of the robe on each side. Other thing that I've run into is that I had planned on having this detail. I was planning on having this detail on both of the openings of the robe, but again, fabric, I just don't know if I have enough. So I only did one side, mostly also because I didn't really think about it only coming out as one piece in my brain, even though I was cutting it on the fold. In my head, somehow it was multiplying into two. Whatever. Sewing brain. Sometimes your brain just does not compute. I'm really desperate. I'm wondering if there's a way for me to incorporate a complementary fabric. Really don't want to have to do that, but it might come down to it. And if I have to, if it's being done on the trim, that's not the biggest deal in the world, but it's certainly not what I envisioned. But I'm already starting to think of a plan B in case I need it. So fingers crossed that I don't need it, but it's there if I do.
Really fine. I don't know why it's coming out all loud and squeaky, because really, I'm fine.
So now let's go ahead and get started. did I miss that little teeny tiny spot? Frustrating. I don't know if this is doing anything. Just making it look. I don't know. I really don't. I don't know. No, it really, that just, nope, 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 no. All right, seam ripper it is. Hello, old friend. Quality content, always. How? This is a minor inconvenience, and I am making it a bigger deal than it needs to be. But how did that even happen? Just this little teeny tiny hole. Who are you? Oh good, you're not even getting to see it because I'm pulling it out of frame.
I'm going crazy. I'm standing here solidly on my own two hands and going crazy.
It worked. Oh, here we have the sleeve. I was so excited. I can't believe that that worked. So here we are with our first sleeve. Now, to make it a full sleeve, I've got to actually sew off the inside part now that I know it works. Oh my goodness. This is so fun. I'm so excited about this. These sleeves are the whole reason that I wanted to make this in the first place. And here we are. Here we have them.
It was getting late, but I was so excited that the sleeve actually worked that I added the other one right after. That's when I realized that I put the pleats on the first sleeve going the wrong direction. I had checked this. I don't know what happened.
Let me do it again right now. Keep rolling.
Luckily, I was riding such a high from them working out that I didn't mind having to redo the pleats on this one sleeve. Plus, it was the wonky sleeve, and another realization was that because the wonky sleeve had that chunk taken out of it from the swatch, it actually didn't need 3 pleats on the back side to fit, just 2. 3 pleats made it look too busy in the back as they were too close together. So I was able to not only switch the direction of the pleats, but also take one out on the back side. Shh, my little secret. With the bodice and skirt now attached, it was time to take a look at how I was going to manage putting trim on the top of the bodice neck / bodice opening, and also the left side of the skirt. I had little fabric to work with, all of which were awkward triangular shapes, and it took some trial and error, you'll see, to get there. To start out, I measured the length of the skirt piece, the bodice, neck, and bodice opening, as well as the scraps. I dedicated the longest and most even piece to the skirt trim because that seemed obvious. I sewed it on, went to figure out the bodice trim to make the discovery that no, that wasn't the best choice. You see, the left side of the skirt trim won't be seen because the right side pulls over and covers it completely. So I was wasting this perfectly, well, good enough piece of trim on something that wasn't actually going to be seen. Meanwhile, I was struggling with the scraps to pull together a trim for the neck, which was not going to work because none were wide enough and I didn't know what to do but stare at it thinking there must be a way.
Son of a bitch.
Then I had my aha moment that I shouldn't waste the good enough trim on the skirt and I should use it for the bodice trim. So you know what that means, seam ripper. I then reattached that piece as the collar / front trim opening and made do with the other scrap as the trim to the left skirt piece. Basically, it has the same trim width at the top, matching the trim on the rest of the robe, and then tapers off down at the bottom. And who cares? I was pretty pleased with solving that.
Almost finished. I just need to figure out how to make some adjustments on this trim because as you can see, it's kind of giving me, I don't even know what you would call that. It's like a collar vibe from the Evil Queen in Snow White or an Elizabethan collar. And I don't want that, so to figure out how to not have it. I don't know if this is something that I'm going to be solving tonight. It's 11:16. I might need a night to mull it over before I figure it out. I have some ideas, but I don't know that I am wanting to put any of them in motion this evening. But not bad as far as problem solving goes while doing this. Ooh, maybe if I do like a gather or something. But see, I don't want to gather. I really do want to keep it as similar as possible. And I have gotten pretty dang close. But maybe I need to go back and look at some of the clips for wearing it to see a little bit more of the back. It's also giving me Doctor Strange cape vibes as well. It sits at a certain angle. Like that. Anyways, I'm not trying to go for that, so we need to fix it. Alright, good night.
A few moments later.
Okay, I said I was gonna let it go, but here I am, still the same night. And I think actually this was an easier fix than maybe I thought. It's still got a little bit of a cape effect in the back. Maybe I can just fuss with that a little bit more, but I took it in 2 inches on each side. So 4 inches on each side, because I did 2 inches on this and 2 inches on that and matched it here. So that has brought the cape effect significantly down. And yeah, so once I sew that in, right now I just have it pinned, but once I have that in, I think I'll take it. It's 11:31 and I am going to pause for tonight, pick up with this tomorrow.
Look at me, it's got me loving you madly. Oh,
again. It's been a long, long time. Haven't felt like this, my dear, since can't remember when. It's been a long, long time. You'll never know how many dreams I dream about you, or just how empty they all seem without you. So kiss me once and kiss me twice and kiss.
Thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please give it a thumbs up. And if you'd like to subscribe, I'd love to have you. I'll see you all in the next one. Bye!
It's been a long, long time.
I am fading. Okay. And I think I've like recorded the same things like 6 times. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please give it a... Is that it? I think that's it.